Mark Peel is one of LA's better-known chefs. He recently competed in Bravo TV's Top Chef Masters and appeared as a judge in the following season of the show. Over the past 20 years, Mark and the restaurant Campanile, where he is executive chef, have received numerous awards, including the James Beard Foundation's Outstanding Restaurant Award 2001, the Los Angeles Culinary Master of the Year, and Food & Wine's Best New Chefs. Mark has also published a number of cookbooks, including his latest, New Classic Family Dinners. And Mark, great to see you.
Good to be here. Thank you very much.
So what makes a great chef?
Oh, what makes a great chef? Perseverance, luck, intelligence, drive. When I look at cooks, when I'm hiring cooks, I don't really look at skill. I look at intelligence, drive, and passion. That's what it takes.
And what about temperament? We always picture a chef in a kitchen throwing things all over the place and stabbing almost the staff.
I've never stabbed anyone, and I've never
Not yet.
anyone. Not yet. The day is young. But that vision of the angry, drunken, obese chef
sounds fantastic.
It's a fun profession. I think is old. It's old, if it ever existed. Successful people know how to manage others. That's what chef means. Chef means chief. You're in charge. And you can't be in charge and be effective if you're abusing people, if you're physically assaulting them. You just don't get the best out of them. You know, that may be good for TV, but it doesn't work in a business.
So a cool head, passion for what you do. How did you start? What actually made you want to get your hands dirty with that beautiful food and all those fresh ingredients?
Well, I first got the bug when I was, I think, 17. When I was in high school. I had a girlfriend and I had no money. It's a very poor combination, by the
Terrible.
So I needed a job. So the first job I was able to find was washing dishes in a restaurant, which was a small dinner house in a very small town in the wine country of Sonoma County. And since it was a small restaurant, I got to do a lot, just helping the chef. Cleaning fish, cutting up chickens, a little bit butchering, a lot of vegetable prep, and I really enjoyed it. I enjoyed the intensity and the pressure. Anyhow, I went off to college and worked at this restaurant, that restaurant, and never really found my niche until I decided, I really did enjoy cooking. I moved to Los Angeles and found a job with Wolfgang Puck. I went to Europe when I was 23, and I think that was a life-changing experience for me because we're talking about the late 70s. Food was really, in Los Angeles and California, was really starting to come into its own a bit, and going to France and seeing the quality of the ingredients, the care and the precision and the passion of the chefs there, made me realize how much more I had to do, and that it was possible. You don't know how high the bar can go until someone raises it for you in many ways, and that raised the bar.
The French are very passionate at just about everything. What do they like to work with in a kitchen? Do they like throw knives all over the place, or are they very calculating too and very clear-headed?
Oh, the French are very calculating, very clear-headed. Just as passionate as anyone else. I think more passionate than most other nationalities when it comes to food. But it's infectious. And I've caught the disease, the passion for food, as have many of my compatriots. But again, that old cliche of the obese, drunken chef in a rage, it doesn't, I'm not going to say it doesn't exist, but they don't last long.
How's the industry evolved in Los Angeles and California over the last 20 years? I mean, it's this great mix of just about everything here, fresh food and a lot of European influences.
I think that in the last In the last 30 years, there's been a very interesting evolution. In 1978, which is the year I went to France, the fine restaurants in Los Angeles, California, I think all over the United States, were definitely French-oriented. Dominated by French cuisine, dominated by Nouvelle cuisine and maybe the ancient cuisine, classical cuisine. But starting about that time, about 1978, 1979, you started seeing influences of Italian and then people who had come into their craft by themselves and brought that influence and started mixing things up with Italian and with French, some Asian, and that's where you see the influence of Alice Waters, even Wolfgang, who adopted the California cuisine kind of a feeling. And we've really blossomed. We've blossomed into something which is not French, which is not Italian, which is not even European. And it's been fantastic. And it's more centered around farmers markets.
And it's also moved to television and cinema. I mean, there's so many cooking shows out there, and some good ones and some bad ones. It's funny, sometimes we like to see, especially the contestants, fail.
Oh yes.
I was talking about a cooking show that a beautiful dish, this fantastic fish dish, presented terrific. But when they cut the fish open, it was still raw. And the poor girl. So it's moved out of the kitchen, I suppose, into just mainstream media. Has this helped restaurants and helped people appreciate the great cuisine that's out there?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. And what's interesting about the cooking shows, I think, is that there is a possibility of failure. You know, it's not great TV to have one big, warm, loving family where everything succeeds, everything's going great. That's boring. When you have these competitive cooking shows like Top Chef Masters, even the best chefs are going to have disasters. Believe me, I know. I've seen a few. I've experienced a few. And unlike cooking in a restaurant, when your kitchen, you know, you're hidden, you can say, oh, send them a little appetizer. We're going to do a little tap dance back here. We're going to assemble this. That was a disaster. Something happened. We dropped it on the floor. We're going to send it, and now we're fine. Everything's fine. We're fine. Not with 3 cameras rolling, where you have a timer going off. When you're done, you're done. And sometimes, yeah, it's a disaster.
So tell us about the restaurant Campanile.
We have a bell tower on top of our restaurant, but it's a true Hollywood bell tower. It's an original fake. It is sheet metal and pigeons.
But it looks good, doesn't it?
It looks good, as long as you don't get too close. Our building was built to be Charlie Chaplin's offices. We're just a couple miles away from his old studios.
So let's talk about what one can expect.
Well, it's this beautiful building, and I always start with the building because when I walked into this building 20 years ago, it felt to me like a village, because it's this beautiful courtyard with a fountain, shops on either side as you progress back, this bell tower, the fake bell tower. And it felt to me like a small village. In Italy or in France, you can have a bakery on one side, a little cafe here, and further back there's a beautiful restaurant. So that's what we created. It's a very open, very giving atmosphere. The food is very freshly presented, very simply presented. I tell the cooks I want the food to look as if it fell from heaven. The presentation, I want the presentation to look kind of like an unmade bed. Wow. Because an unmade bed is not sloppy, but it's sexy. It's like, oh, what's going on here?
Your new book, New Family Classic Dinners. Tell us about it.
So this right here. This has been a labor of love for the last 2 years. This is taking the dishes we do on Monday nights, where we do a family dinner. It's fixed price, family style, everything included. A lot of old American classics, continental classics, if you will. Chicken a la king, chicken cacciatore, clams casino, oysters Rockefeller.
Santa Maria barbecue.
Santa Maria barbecue, which is from the central coast of California, which was our beef growing region. with lots of red oak and lots of Spanish cowboys, vaqueros. And they would barbecue beef over roaring oak fires with just a dry rub, a really spicy dry rub. It's absolutely delicious. These are meals that people can do. They're accessible. Accessible with the ingredients, accessible with the techniques, accessible with the cooking times, and I've just, like, the best macaroni and cheese I've ever made.
So it's very simple food.
Some of them are a little bit more complex for people who are a little bit more ambitious, like there's a lobster pot pie, which is a bit ambitious. But there's a chicken pot pie as well, which is a recipe my wife owns.
The book, where can we get a hold of the book?
You can get this book, Amazon, Borders, whatever your local bookstore is. They can order it for you.
Back to the whole life story so far. What's success for Mark Peel?
One great evening. Because cooking is perfect for people with ADD, attention deficit. Okay? You're in the moment.
That's right.
Okay? One day at a time. We had a great service tonight. The food was fantastic. Everybody loved it. I feel good about it. That's a success. We'll see how tomorrow goes.
Do you still have the same passion?
Oh, absolutely. More than ever. There's great products out there, new products out there, great young cooks, people I really want to work with, things I want to do. We're opening a bar. It's going to be geared around spirits. What's happening in spirits right now is what happened in food and wine 30 years ago.
The cocktail godmother in New York.
Audrey Saunders.
Yeah.
She's the goddess of cocktails.
Yeah.
I don't know if she wants to be known as that, but that's how I think of her.
Nothing like a good cocktail before dinner.
Right.
And
I mean,
a couple after.
it is, you know, people are drinking less, but they're drinking better. There's never been better bourbons, tequilas, rums, scotches, whiskeys that produced than now. Now is the best time that it's ever been. Those old cowboy movies where the guy saunters into the bar, shot of whiskey, he grits his teeth, one tear rolls down his cheek. It's because that whiskey was so terrible. Awful. It was cut with gunpowder, tobacco juice, kerosene, who knows, it was awful. The best stuff right now is the best it's ever been.
If you had all your customers, say since when you started to now, how do you think they would describe Mark Peel in one word? And not a poisoner, I hope.
Not a poisoner, please. How they would describe me, that was difficult. How I would like to be described?
How would you like to be described?
I would like to be described as a very good cook. Because it's all about the cooking.
And how would Mark Peel describe himself in one word?
Very intense. I'm a very intense person. Behind this calm facade, I'm a very intense person.
That's why I need cocktails. Delicious. Mark, thank you very much.
Well, thank you.